sometimes I feel like the reason why we don't really feel fulfilled or we feel depleted in doing the thing is because we're going about it the same way that we started. And when we started, we were completely different people. You know, we change every day whether we realize it or not. And so sometimes we just have to understand that it's not that the thing has expired. Your vision hasn't expired. Your passion hasn't run dry. It's just that you need to change because things within you are changing as you're on this journey, as you're on this pursuit. Hey y'all, it's Megan May and this is Transparency, where we keep it real about our growing pains and all the beautiful moving parts of life that may not be the most glamorous but shape us into who we are today. So if you're ready for some introspection and evolution, go ahead and lock in by hitting the subscribe button, and if anything I says resonates with you, you can go ahead and leave me a comment and or like so I know we see each other. Okay, so let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room, because I already know I've had some of my friends, I had my mama just being on me like, girl, where's transparency? Where's transparency? Are we getting the episode this weekend? Like, what's going on? And I kept saying, you know, I'm working on it, I'm working on it, I'm working on it. Truth be told, I did record 2 episodes that were supposed to be part of a self-love series in February. But during that time, I just felt very weighed down by life in itself, and I was just struggling mentally, and I just couldn't really fight through the resistance of, should I record, should I not record, should I edit, should I not edit? Like, I was feeling really defeated and depleted. So it was hard. I really didn't want to take this long away from transparency, but I also felt like this is what I needed to just have some type of mental restoration. And honestly, you know, I don't know that that was the best course of action or if I should have persevered and pushed through, but the perspective that I was working through was more so like, okay, you're unhappy because of what? Because you feel like you're working this monotonous job, you're coming home, you have hours in the day left to really dedicate to yourself, but you just feel so drained, like emotionally, mentally, physically drained, and just stuck in this cycle. And it's crazy because the last episode that I did release before taking this break was with Lexi, who spoke about just basking in our feminine energy and honoring our bodies and things of that nature. So though transparency, you know, it's not a new podcast per se, but to some degree, yeah, it is new, because I took a long break between the first time I dropped transparency, like the first season, until this season. And I think I did a relatively good job at being consistent, but I was kind of focused on the advice that I get from people that's well vetted in the game. Like, you have to post consistently, you have to post consistently. And especially because it's not like, you know, I'm some form of social media light where people are checking for me. So even if I took a month, 2 months, 3 months, or even a year off, like once I drop again, they're going to be right back in their seats ready to consume my content. I knew that wasn't the case. So I fought with myself on whether or not I was going to stick to the plan of having like a self-love series in February. And you guys will get the 2 episodes that I did record for that. But I fought with myself because I didn't know what was the best course of action. Do I be consistent, or do I honor my body? Do I honor my mind and just take a pause? Because off real, I already knew that it wasn't going to be just a pause. It wasn't a week, 2 weeks that was going to pass. I knew that it was going to take a long time to shake out of this funk, and it's because a lot had been happening through the course of the end of last year into the beginning of this year, where I just felt like I was taking loss after loss after loss, and I was pretty much pushing those things. I wouldn't say that I wasn't addressing them, but I don't think I was really catering to healing in the ways that, you know, I encourage you guys to do, and in the ways that I know I should, because I just felt like it was so many other things pulling me. Like, I was being pulled in so many other directions where I felt like my focus needed to be here, and I needed to be doing this, and I need to try harder in this. And while those things were keeping me busy, it wasn't sustainable. I was still feeling the way that I was feeling day after day after day. And I will say the circumstances that have left me feeling the way that I've been feeling, they haven't changed, but my perspective has definitely shifted. And so I feel like I've taken enough time off. I've given myself a pregnant pause. You know, it was more than a beat. And for those that's not familiar with the pregnant pause, it's just a long ass pause that's longer than, you know, what a regular break would look like. I believe that's a theater term. I think that's where I got that from when I was in theater. But yeah, I know I needed a pregnant pause to really just regroup and find different ways to realign my focus with the bigger picture. So I'm back. And if you missed me, I missed you too. If you didn't miss me, or if you're new here, then welcome. And hopefully the content that I'm coming back with is going to be things that resonate deeply with you, that you can apply to your own life. But I started off this episode with saying all of that because I do want to provide some form of advice or just tips for those of us that might feel similar to the way that I have been feeling. If you feel overwhelmed in life, you feel depleted, you feel like you're just in this mundane, monotonous day after day doing the same old thing and not feeling fulfilled by any of what you're doing, or maybe you have like spurts of fulfillment, but overall you just feel like your life is just dwindling away. Like, pretty much the way that I was feeling is time is passing by, and this is something that I hear all the time, like, oh, regardless if you're actively pursuing the things that you want out of life, time is going to pass by regardless. So, you know, don't really give into those feelings of despair or whatever sad feelings you may be feeling. Don't really put too much focus or attention into those things because time is still passing by. And while that is true, I disagree, because sometimes you really just need time to feel those feelings, and you need time to be in a funk. And I know some people feel that that doesn't serve you to wallow in your feelings, but it's not even about wallowing in your feelings. Like I said, these are feelings that have been with me for, I would say, since like November, December of last year. And I kept doing my best to show up and do what I felt like I should be doing. But at some point, you know, you're accumulating all of these things that are pretty much burdening your spirit, burdening your emotions, burdening your soul. And the other things in your life that are coming day after day, your responsibilities and obligations and just other desires that you are like pursuing, those things start to pretty much like pile on top of one another and create this feeling of overwhelm. So in this episode, we'll just be talking about the benefits of taking a pregnant pause when you're working towards something that serves a bigger purpose, when you're working towards your goals, your dreams, your deepest desires, and you start to face feelings of overwhelm or extreme resistance. Like, what are the benefits of actually taking a pause and putting consistency on the back burner for a little bit? I mean, if you feel that you have it in you to do the bare minimum, then sure, do the bare minimum. But sometimes, and this was the case for me because I felt like I had already been doing the bare minimum, so sometimes you don't even have that to give, and you just really need to take a big pause. And here's why. So reason number one, it prevents burnout. At this point, you probably are already experiencing signs of burnout. You are probably already feeling like, yes, you are indeed burnt out. And the reason why taking a pause is important is because it allows you to reset. It allows you to recharge so that you can refocus on what's most important. You can get your rest. You can find hobbies to just take your mind off of the things that are stressing you out or burdening your mental, and, you know, return to those passion projects, those dreams, those goals with fresh energy. And this is important because, you know, when you are trying to push through to do something just for the sake of saying, oh, you're being consistent, you're not giving it your all. The love, the passion that you probably typically have behind this assignment, this project, this passion, is now just something that feels like a chore. You're just doing it to say that you're doing it. You're just doing it to check it off of your list, but you don't really have the same fire inside of you that's burning, that's like, oh my gosh, I feel so good about this. I'm excited about how this is going to be received. I'm excited about putting this out into the world. You don't feel those same feelings. So when you take those pauses, you are allowing yourself to restore the enthusiasm behind what you are pursuing, what you are working towards building. You are allowing yourself to have a positive association with whatever it is that you're normally doing. You're not thinking of it of like, oh my gosh, I still got to do X, Y, and Z. And that's honestly the place that I was in. Like, I would come home from work and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I need to record. Oh my gosh, I need to edit. And it's just like, I'll waste away. I'll tell myself I'm taking a nap or I'm taking a little moment to myself. And it's just like, I couldn't even get myself to get up and do the thing because I just felt drained. I just felt depleted. And as far as working towards finding ways where that is no longer the case, I'm still in the process of doing that. So this is just honestly just the benefits of why it's important to take a pause. We're going to talk about how you can avoid needing to take pauses or taking pauses very frequently, but this is just more so speaking of the benefits of taking a pause, because I don't want us to feel guilty when we feel like life is winning, when we feel like we're losing at life, and we know that there's obligations that we have or things that we want to do, and we don't have the energy or we don't have anything in us to really show up and pour into those things that normally light us up. The second benefit I would say to taking a pause is allowing yourself to improve your creativity and imagination. Because what I can say is, though like I was struggling to find the energy or the will to record or to brainstorm topics or anything of the sort, what I didn't have a problem with doing is having ideas flow to me in the most random times, and I would just jot them down. I wouldn't really commit a certain amount of time to bullet pointing different points, talking points, and things of that nature. I would just allow the ideas to come to me, make note of them, and continue on about my day. But I feel like sometimes it's not even a feeling of just being drained or feeling depleted. Your circumstance to why you might feel like you don't have anything to give to your passions right now may be simply just a creative block. And taking a pause when you have creative blocks is just as important as taking a pause because you feel like life is whooping your ass. Because realistically, you just need some time so that your brain could just like do its own thing and get you back into this state of flow where you're not feeling like you're forcing ideas to come to you, or you're not feeling like you're forcing any type of content that you feel like you have to make. You're doing things out of like this free will flow state, this energy where everything's coming to you easy, things are making sense naturally, and it's not really putting too much stress on you to feel like you have to commit to a thing. You are doing this out of your own will, and it's easy, it's freeing, it's enjoyable. And once you feel like things that you are pursuing out of your own will, out of your own time, are not freeing or enjoyable anymore, then that's a sign that you need to take a step back and, you know, really just find things to do to nurture yourself. Because I think it's noticeable when we are doing things because we feel obligated to do it versus when we're doing it because we have a joy that's attached to doing that thing. So just keep that in mind. Taking a break can really improve your creativity and allow your imagination to flourish and prosper. And speaking of just not having the stress of committing to something because you've already put into the world that you're doing this thing and you want to show up consistently, I think overall taking a break is just a way to reduce stress and anxiety. You know, when you feel like, oh, though you're not checking in with somebody, you're not turning in these things to somebody, but you feel the pressure of having to do something because that's what you said you're going to do, you are putting unnecessary stress on yourself. Quite frankly, I had to face the facts that, like, though I have my mom, I have some of my friends checking in saying, like, girl, what's going on? Where's transparency? I haven't seen an episode in weeks or whatever. I had to really understand that I'm doing this for me. And I love their support. I love that they're, holding me accountable. But in reality, this is a one-man show. I'm the one that has to come up with the ideas. I'm the one that has to record. I'm the one that has to edit. And if I don't feel like I have it in me to stretch, to push, to do my best at something, then maybe that's a sign in itself that I don't need to do it. Now, if I'm trying to push through consistently doing the things that I said I was going to do because I don't want to hear anybody else's complaints, grievances, or I don't want anybody coming and checking in on me, or whatever the case may be, for some of us who feel like, we have to do something because other people are holding us to a standard, but it's our own thing, then we are putting ourselves in a predicament where we're going to feel unnecessary stress. Don't get me wrong, by no means am I saying that consistency isn't important. I am working towards being more consistent. I am working towards putting in more effort that is going to show that I am going about transparency and everything in my life with more intentionality. But where I am right now, I can only speak for where I am right now. And I felt like, I was feeling a wave of stress on myself because I have other factors in my life that needed me to really slow down and focus on other elements of my life. Transparency, I love transparency. It's my baby. I want to nurture transparency as much as I can. But this is for all of us in my community, but this is for me. As much as it is for you, it is for me. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, so, to really take some of the weight off, to really take some of the stress out of it, I just had to really put things in perspective. And that's what taking a break can also do. It can shift your perspective, like I mentioned earlier. Instead of thinking of something as an obligation, you're thinking of it as an outlet. And that's how I see transparency now. Like, okay, circumstances in my life might not be working in my favor currently, but this is something that I do have the control of. This is something that, yes, it requires a lot out of me to a certain extent, but this is something that makes me happy. This is something that brings me joy. This is something that is bigger than myself. And so that's really the shift that I had to have mentally to return to recording this episode today, because I just realized, like, this is something that I did find joy in, and it's bringing joy to other people as well. It's helping other people as well. So sometimes, just take a break so that you don't put unnecessary stress on yourself, especially if you find yourself feeling stressed from other situations in your life. Another observation that I made in terms of why taking a break is so important when you have something that you're passionate about, but you don't feel that passion while you're working towards the thing in a certain moment, is because it offers room for you to feel like you have the time for reflection and you have the space to pivot so that you could grow. During my time away personally, I just had to remind myself of why I started. Not even why I started when I brought transparency back, but like, what was the purpose of me wanting to have a podcast to begin with? And what was the purpose of me kind of changing my niche a little bit when I did return with season 2 of Transparency? What was the reason? What was the reason? And again, that's how I got to this space where I'm at now, where I was just shifting my perspective and told myself, like, hey, look, you don't have to feel stressed by this. Yes, it's work, but it's something that you enjoyed, and it's something that serves a bigger purpose. And while, of course, there are other people that do self-development content and people that are encouraging people on various platforms, like, my audience is for me. You guys have a certain, I wouldn't say attachment, but we connect because of similarities that we share. And you might not find that anywhere else. There are people who still haven't found my channel, who are going to one day discover my channel and feel seen, feel heard, feel like they can connect with me on a deeper level than anybody else that they might have, you know, digested similar content from. So sometimes you just have to take a step back so that you can really remember why you started in the first place, and really understand that sometimes, yes, when you take a break, you're going to understand that the reason why you started doesn't really resonate with you anymore. It probably doesn't align with your values anymore. You probably feel like you've outgrown whatever it is that you were pursuing at a time, and you want to pivot, or you just want to completely do away with that thing. And sometimes that's exactly what you need. That's not what I needed. I needed a break, but sometimes your break reveals to you that this is just not a thing that's serving you anymore, and you don't feel like you're going to be able to serve others with this thing because you're not feeling served yourself. And what do we say all the time? You can't pour from an empty cup. So if you feel like what you're putting all your time and energy into isn't serving you, then I highly doubt that it's going to resonate with, you know, the people that you once wish to resonate with, just honestly speaking. And if you feel like the work that you are doing has just became unfulfilling, then that's a sign in itself as well. That's a catalyst for growth in a different direction, because then you can reassess, like, what is it that you feel like needs to change. Maybe you don't want to do away with something completely, but what is it that you need to change? Is it that you need to put yourself on a schedule? Is it that you need to really isolate yourself for a time period to get certain things done? Is it that you need to, you know, just find different ways to approach the task at hand? Sometimes I feel like the reason why we don't really feel fulfilled, or we feel depleted in doing the thing, is because we're going about it the same way that we started. And when we started, we were completely different people. You know, we change every day whether we realize it or not. And so sometimes we just have to understand that it's not that the thing has expired. Your vision hasn't expired. Your passion hasn't run dry. It's just that you need to change, because things within you are changing as you're on this journey, as you're on this pursuit. And so sometimes your approach to things just have to shift a little bit. That's something that I learned. My approach to transparency is going to have to shift a little bit. I can't just go about things the same way in my day. And quite frankly, because transparency is a passion project of mine, and just something that I do have a passion for in general, like, I don't even know if passion project is the correct term, but that's just what I associate it as. But because this is something that I'm doing for myself and for my community, and not necessarily something that I'm getting paid for at the moment, you know, but I had to realize that just because I'm not getting paid to do it doesn't mean that I can have a lackadaisical approach to it. And not lackadaisical in the sense that, oh, I don't really, you know, care to do transparency because I don't feel well. Like, no, that was never my approach. But lackadaisical in the sense of, okay, when I have to go to my actual job, like, I have to go there regardless of how I'm feeling. So yes, while I am honoring myself by telling myself, oh, let me take a break to really just get myself together, get my mind right, I need to approach transparency as something that's bigger than myself, that's as something that's, you know, going to open doors not only for myself but for others, whether it be mental doors, emotional doors, physical doors, opportunities, because I'm helping you to see things differently in life in general. But I have to take an approach to transparency in my platform in general as something that's serious. This is not just for fun, just because it's enjoyable. This is something that's serious. This is something that I want to see become something bigger one day and serve people that I didn't even know had access to my platform, or people that I didn't really even know would be attracted to the things that I'm saying or the things that I'm doing. Like, I have to take a different approach because I am serving something bigger than what I'm even imagining. So I just had to develop, you know, a stronger sense of self-awareness so that I can realign my vision for the platform with my passion and what I feel like needs to be served to the people. And get out of my own way by saying, like, oh, you know, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna record on these days, but then those days come in and I feel fine, but you know, I'm thinking like, oh, this is the one day that I have to myself, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z instead. I have to be serious about this because this is a serious matter. Yeah. And something I talked about in my self-love episode, one of my self-love episodes, is self-compassion. And taking this break allowed me to really understand what self-compassion looks like. We talk about being graceful with ourselves all the time, but I don't know if everyone understands the importance of being graceful with yourself. Sometimes it's a slippery slope because you feel like you're extending too much grace to yourself, and so you're not seeing progress. At least that's what I felt at times. But I want you to realize that there's more good than bad that can happen from taking a break. Like, take the consistency out of the picture and really just focus on how you're not even producing your best because you are not your best. So while you're sitting here trying to push through and persevere through all of the feelings that you're feeling, you are putting yourself in a situation where you're probably going to feel more stressed, more anxious, more overwhelmed, because you're not giving yourself that time to reset, recharge, refocus, and realign. To be quite honest, when I was still posting and still recording and doing things of that nature for transparency, but feeling the feelings that I was feeling of just sadness and feeling like I was taking L after L and not really pouring into myself how I should, I was fighting feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, just frustration with every element of my life. Even if things were going well in that sector of my life, I was still just feeling overall frustrated. I was still feeling like I didn't want to talk, I didn't want to do anything, I didn't want to go anywhere, and I felt like I was lashing out at times. Not in the sense of just not having like self-control over my emotions, but I was just sometimes feeling like I just didn't want to be bothered. And so the smallest of things could just rub me the wrong way. Like, you could just sit here and call me more than one time, and if you don't know me in person, then my phone be on do not disturb all the time. But you could call me more than one time, I'm not getting the call coming through, but when I see the missed call, I would get agitated like, bro, why are you calling me twice? Just text me. Like, little things like that would just bother me. And so I just had to realize, like, hey, you're not well, you're not doing good. I remember I had a breakdown, I think some point in February, where I was literally bawling my eyes out in the laps of my parents because I just felt so bad about myself. And it's just like, when you are pushing and pushing and fighting to see the results that you're pursuing and you're not seeing them as fast as you wish, or you're not allowing yourself time for things to really manifest and come into your reality the way that you want, like you're just expecting the results to be instantaneous, or you're expecting things to happen sooner than, you know, they realistically can happen, then you're going to keep pushing and fighting and feeding into things that you want to see a change in, and realistically, while you're still working towards the thing, it's just not good. The effort that you're putting into it is bare minimum. It's almost as if you should just not do anything at all. And so that's my advice to you. Like, just take a step back. Just give yourself a moment and take a step back and understand that you are helping yourself. You're not hurting yourself. You're not losing momentum. You're not losing steam, because when you return to the thing, you're going to feel refreshed. You're going to have a different state of mind where you feel more encouraged and you feel more powerful and you feel like you can really get the job done. And that is the space that I'm in right now. I feel like I'm in a space where I'm going to be able to be more productive and efficient. I'm going to be able to do things better than I did before I took my break, because I'm not going to be in my head about what's going wrong in my life. I've allowed myself time to sit with those things. I've allowed myself times to cope, and healing is never ending. But I've allowed myself time to really just address those matters and not really shove them down deep inside because I feel like, oh, I have other things to tend to. So, said all this to say that if you are struggling with anything in your life and you know that there are certain things that you probably can't take a break from, like you probably can't take time off of work because you have bills to pay, you probably can't ignore your children or your family because you have to take care of them. What is it that you probably have been pushing through and have been fighting for that you can take a break on? Figure out what it is that you really need mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And that's the last point I want to make as well. Like, God has sent some beautiful people into my life. Some of these people have actually already been like background characters in my story that I never really had deep conversations with. But God has really allowed me to have confirmation of what I'm doing through different people that He's brought into my experience as of recent. And that kind of gave me the encouragement I needed as well. So in case you don't have, any other outside outliers that are going to enter your experience and tell you like, hey, you're doing the right thing. I know it's hard right now, but you got it. Just take some time. And remember that what's for you can never miss you. Like, if you're doing something that is aligned with God's will for your life, then the opportunities won't miss you. You might feel like you're just going in circles. You might feel like you're working to no end. But just trust that things are happening as they're supposed to, and you taking a break isn't going to delay your breakthrough, your blessing, or just having that moment of accomplishment or where you feel like you're able to shine or let your hair down. That moment won't miss you. Just cater to yourself. Love yourself enough to understand that you need to let go for a minute so that you can pour into yourself in other ways. And when you return, you will be doing yourself a major service because you'll see that you are better than when you left. I hope that this resonated with you. If you have anybody that you feel like needs to hear this message, please share. That's all I have for you right now. So take care, have a great weekend, and of course remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Toodles.